Hey guys, it's Captain Forest here, and today I'm here with a prediction collab on the upcoming Death Battle video, of course, the Death Battle matchup, which is going to be Harley Quinn versus Jinx from League of Legends, and I believe they'll be using Harley Quinn from the comics, from DC Comics, so they'll be using her feats there. But anyway, I have some badasses on the channel. Introduce yourselves.
Hey, what is up, everyone? Korin O'Keefe back yet again with another collab death battle prediction. Who's up next?
Well, hello. My name is Benjamin. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So this is how it's going to go down. So Korin, he's going to cover some of Harley Quinn, talk about some of her AP and her power-ups and stats. I'll also talk a bit about some of Harley Quinn's other stuff. So talk about some of like her comp stuff. So when she got the Red Lantern ring, so I'll talk about what that can do. And after that, if Korin has any more thoughts, he's more than welcome to give any. And then if not, pass it on to Benjamin. He will be covering Jinx, of course, and going over her stats and abilities and what she brings to the table. And then overall, we'll all give our thoughts and add anything else to the table, just to make things interesting. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let Korin take the dance floor.
Alrighty. So, getting right down to business, 1999 Batman Harley Quinn comic. Harley Quinn herself, aka my future ex-wife, receives, you could say, an amp, a boost that she received from Ivy, Poison Ivy. This actual boost boosted her physical strength, speed, reflexes. It gave her high resistance to toxins. Pretty incredible stuff. Pretty good feats under her belt. Some of those feats being beating down the Joker when she actually is in the mood, right? She has to be pushed to do that, obviously because of her obsession for him. She's like really obsessed, loves the Joker, but we actually have seen her completely dog walk him and beat him down on several occasions throughout the comics, even in like New 52 as well. So that's pretty impressive because Joker himself has impressive pain tolerance, great endurance, good durability, able to endure beatings from the Batman himself, etc., etc. So Harley herself has also showcased that she can damage the durability of Killer Croc himself. Heck, this chick with bowling pins, right? Her physical strength she used behind the bowling pins to just easily embarrass Croc. Now, she herself was tired out at the end, but nonetheless, Croc was laid out on the floor, and she definitely took it to him, and that's actually very incredible, because Croc himself is one of the more, like, heavy-hitting, like, lower street tier, so to speak, characters in DC. Really hard skin, good durability. Heck, it's even been shown like it would take something like Venom amped Bane to pretty much overpower and take down Killer Croc in that regard. So that's something to take into consideration. Now, we do know these, so to speak, street tiers in DC, they have multiple calcs for building ranges, building plus ranges. I've actually seen some city block stuff, as well as some town calculations for them. So wherever Death Battle is going to put them, however you want to go about it, but there are definitely calcs for each of those ranges and multiple calcs for the building ranges that I've seen especially. So in terms of speed, she would obviously scale to these street tiers in terms of speed easily, especially thanks to her speed enhancement, right, that I mentioned earlier. On top of that, she's pretty much up there with Dick Grayson in terms of her acrobat capability. She's a phenomenal acrobat, right? A gymnast. She's very flexible and has great agility. So what I'm getting at is, right, there's several feats of these other characters like Batman, Dick Grayson, Black Canary, etc., etc. They have feats of dodging light speed attacks, reacting in a nanosecond, down to the last nanosecond, right? Some of these feats, like for Batman, dodging Dr. Light's light beam, I've seen that range from sub-relative up to relativistic. The Black Canary feat, a friend of mine recently calced that. Name is KKrimbus. Came out to be a little over 4 times the speed of light, which is really good for Harley in turn. And we also have a calc that another friend of ours made. His name is Frisk. He made it for Dick Grayson recently, where he dodges lasers, laser fire, and that got him a little over 1 times the speed of light. So, as you can easily see and hear, you get the gist. She's going to easily range from those building, city block, town ranges in terms of AP. Easily has feats on that level. She's, again, beat down Killer Croc, took bowling pins to this dude. She's dominated the Joker on more than one occasion. And she's obviously scaling into those relativistic, up to those FTL ranges easily. Very athletic, very phenomenal character overall. So, with that out of the way, I'll go ahead and hand the mic over to Forrest. Let him go over some stuff.
Alright. So, I'm going to talk about some of like Harley's like other things. So, as we know, she actually had the Red Lantern ring at one point. I'm going to bring this up. I'm talking a little bit about the Red Lantern ring. Now, just another thing I want to note. I'm not 100% sure if Death Battle's going to give her anything else. I don't know if they're just going to have her with her just her baseball bat or her mallet and just her stats. But if they do include some comp stuff, that'd be pretty good. So I figured I'd give you guys some, pretty much some information behind that. And I mainly know like most of the stuff for like the Red Lanterns, and I'll give a gist of what the Red Lantern ring can do. So for starters, when one person wields the ring itself, it basically replaces their blood with like this napalm, like this blood napalm, and the user basically spits that substance out. Now napalm itself vaporizes its targets completely. Like the Red Lantern user can completely like cover the area. For example, like other Lantern users like Dexstar, he's done this. He's like vomited out this erosive napalm blood, and it just like completely vaporizes you in seconds. A noteworthy thing about the ring itself is that the ring basically increases the user's like stats depending on how much rage they feel inside them. So if the user is angry, the energy that they emit from their anger basically correlates to the ring. So the user basically gets like an unquantifiable amp, and also their rage charges their ring, so they don't need to use a like a dock. For example, like you know how you have the Green Lanterns, and they need to use their green like lanterns in order to charge up their rings. Now obviously there's some exceptions, like Hal Jordan, who can just charge it with his own willpower, but like some lanterns need to use like a actual lantern, whereas the Red Lanterns mitigate that by using their own rage to charge up the ring. For example, when Supergirl obtained the Red Lantern ring, she charged it up just by getting mad. So That's also another quality that the ring has. Just like the other like lanterns, like the other rings, they all have information analysis, so they can basically deduce any threats. So it basically gives like the user precognition in a way, so it like warns them of incoming threats before they occur, and also analyzes the threat, analyze who they're fighting, so it gives literally the name. For example, like when Dexter went up against, like he was just like flying in space, the ring automatically exposed and explained what type of threat he was dealing with, which was an aircraft, and it told him literally, okay, this aircraft is armed with like a cannon and lasers. So it just gives the Red Lantern user heads up on what the type of threat he's dealing with, which is very impressive. It also analyzes for example, like toxins or any type of chemicals. So when, for example, when Supergirl had the ring, it detected like cellular like cellular gases, so like kryptonite gas, which helped Supergirl basically avoid the cloud of kryptonite, so she didn't get negged, which is another impressive trait for the ring. The ring also allows the user to fly. The users can also create force fields as well, and they can also survive in space. Now granted, some users are unable to use constructs like the Red Lantern users. There are exceptions, so like for example like Rancor, who's one of the users of the Red Lantern ring. Out of all of them, he is the one that gained the natural inherent ability to create constructs with his Red Lantern. Now Dexter got this ability by licking his blood. That's another impressive thing they can do. By licking their opponent's blood, they can gain like special powers. So that's another trait too. A disadvantage for Red Lantern users is that if their ring is removed, that will kill them. So it's kind of like death hacks in a way. It just instantly kills you if you do not have the ring. So that is a disadvantage of a Red Lantern user. However, just a note, Harley Quinn was a wielder of the Red Lantern ring. She actually went up against a character named Hal Jordan. She actually put in work. I think they had it was like an arm wrestling with constructs, so she created like a Red Lantern construct of an arm, and he did too, and she was pressing him, and she was also able to keep up with Hal Jordan as well, which is also impressive. Now in terms of AP for the ring itself, so naturally at least should range around Uni Plus, because the rings themselves, it's also stated that the rings are 4D in nature. So right off the bat, you have inherent Uni Plus scaling because of the ring, and plus other Lantern users have fought each other, and they can all like contend with each other and damage each other in combat. And basically Harley Quinn has demonstrated this against Hal Jordan, and basically been able to keep up with him. As for speed, so she would also buy this. She'd naturally have she'd naturally scale to his speed. So Hal Jordan has demonstrated some measurable speed feats himself, and also some irrelevant speed feats. He's been able to fly to the future without his lantern, so that's an immeasurable speed feat of his own. And he can also travel a timeless, distantless barrier in an instant. So he has some really good immeasurable to irrelevant speed feats. So right there and there, most of these lanterns scale to this. So that's some really good speed scaling that you could also apply to Harley Quinn with the Red Lantern ring. So that's one trait that you could include. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Harley from what I know in terms of comp. She has some other stuff, but if Korin is more than welcome to give some stuff, he's more than welcome to. If not, we can go ahead and pass it on to Benjamin. He can talk about Jinx if you'd like to, and then just chop it up from there.
Okay, so moving on to Jinx. So some simpler stuff. She has been shown to be on par with a guy named Garen, who's able to split mountains. Some simple stuff there for her already like base self. However, her more impressive stuff in both AP and speed comes from her actual ship. Her ship named the Morningstar is able to vaporize entire planets, destroy parts of nebulas though it took over 48 consecutive hours. It's also able to cross galaxies in very short periods of times. Though, obviously, her base self would not scale to this. She requires a ship. Her base self, as stated in AP, is able to cleave mountains. And for speed, she scales to 6, who has been shown to be able to dodge missiles, and this was calculated to be 87 meters per second or subsonic. Like, she doesn't have a lot more than that for, like, stats. She has some decent abilities, though. Like, she's able to know that you're watching her without even to look, so some enhanced senses. She's able to see through illusions, and she was able to see through Heimerdinger's visual transmogration charm. She's able to use, like, electricity manipulation via her, like, gear. Using fish bones, she can fly. She can amp her own stats by using, like, gear and all. And as like the fish bones as mentioned that I mentioned before, she's also able to create just like big explosions to give some more like AoE. And like now with the ship, she's able to obviously like space flight as mentioned before. So that gives her a lot of like movability. Can take it into space, help her there. Like it can create portals if she's able to shoot energy, teleporting, and so on. Like that's about it.
All right, cool. So I guess from here we'll all give our final thoughts on who we kind of think takes it more often than not. Oh, and Benjamin, you mentioned before, right? We talked earlier, I believe, but Harley also obtained the Yellow Lantern ring at one point, along with Deathstroke.
Yes.
Do you mind talking a little bit about what you told us earlier of what she kind of did with that?
So, while she did, just like Deathstroke and the others that got the Yellow Lantern ring in that small time, they didn't show to do a lot. But Harley is one of those that showed more than the others. She has some creativity, like the basic stuff, she can fly. However, she showed to have great control over construct creation as she was able to create a fear, like a scarier version of Batman. Looks like some kind of horror movie shit. And her own statement that is indeed Batman that she created, as she directly says, "Go get him, Batman." So she's able to create like fully moving like people, showing she has great control over actual like constructs. And for those that don't know, the Yellow Lantern ring is based on fear, so she's able to inflict fear and so on. Like as I said before, we don't know exactly like how good control she has over it. But the fact that she's able to create intricate constructs like that is pretty impressive.
Most definitely. So, starting off, for what I think overall, I guess you could say, base to base, for what I heard at least about Jinx, from what I've been hearing, everything Benjamin's saying, in terms of speed, I would have to lean more towards Harley Quinn, unless somehow you can try to find a way to argue that Jinx's reaction time scale to her ship somehow. Other than that, it seems to me Harley has the speed edge base to base. Now, in terms of AP, this is interesting. In terms of like physical, like durability, Harley may actually be able to hold her own in that regard. In terms of just like raw physical. Now, Jinx has other stuff, as Benjamin mentioned, and has some scaling and stuff that could actually get her higher as well than what Harley would have, like normally, I guess you could say, like ranging from like the building to the town level ranges. So there's that. And So this one's actually a little bit interesting, a little more interesting than what I first thought. Like, I was hyped anyways because I'm a big fan of Harley Quinn, but I'm actually a little more interested in the match going into this, talking with some people, talking with the homies, you know. So it does kind of come down to some stuff. If Jinx has specific stuff, you know, give her the asteroid split and stuff, give her the ship, give her those reactions, you know, she would be above what I would have Harley Quinn at, like, in her base anyways. Let's go with like the supersonic, subsonic stuff for her physical, like, speed. If we go with that, then Harley Quinn would be able to, like, have a big speed blitz advantage. And if they do end up being, like, somewhat comparable physically overall, then Harley Quinn may have a good edge. And she does have her mallet. She has stuff like that. She's, like, very flexible, very great acrobat, phenomenal. That could actually come into play too, complement her speed edge if she ends up having that as well. So, yeah, both have ways to take it. And again, if they also give Harley any of those rings, if they do decide to give them everything they have, or, like, which I don't necessarily see them doing, but again, it is a potential route. They may mention it in the corner. They may bring it up that she just has the will or, like, capability to do it, and may actually mean something. You know, speaking of the rings, we've actually seen her, like, have the willpower to kind of use Hal Jordan's ring. I believe at the time he was, like, kind of briefly knocked out, and she put the ring on and was able to use it to save him from the fall and stuff. This is actually insane when you think about stuff that, like, Batman at one point put it on, and he even had, like, a little trouble kind of using it in a way, and, like, other characters, and, like, just the nature of the ring. So that's pretty incredible. If you really want to, like, take that into account, maybe it means something to y'all. Who knows? Just thought I'd mention it. Pretty awesome stuff regardless, in my opinion. So, yeah, overall, if she has that stuff, obviously you have some pretty high tier scaling for her. Even on the finite ends of the speed, she would have far more direct speed scaling with the rings. And if you take it up to the even higher notches, then it's blatantly over, like the immeasurable, irrelevant, blatant scaling there. But again, even if you go with, like, the finite, you already have Green Lanterns crossing entire universes, which I believe Death Battle's used these feats before anyways. So even that would put her far, like, quantifiably far higher than what we have for Jinx, what we've seen for Jinx, to be honest. So if you go that route, I don't see anything Jinx can do to defeat Harley with any of those rings, the stuff she can do with them, the extra versatility. And then base to base, you know, if Jinx has certain things that she has at her disposal, right, the ship could definitely help. That could be something. If she has the reaction time of her ship, that could definitely help her avoid Harley's attacks. But again, if she's limited to those, like, lower subsonic, supersonic, hypersonic ranges, Harley's reaching those relativistic, faster than light ranges easily, and has very good flexibility and athleticism to complement that as well. So she'd have that easily. And if it comes down to them having comparable AP, Harley would definitely take it. I could see both having ways to take it, but I may actually have to lean a little more towards Harley Quinn in this more often than not. But I'm going to pass the mic over to Captain Forrest, let him give his final thoughts, and then Benjamin.
Absolutely. So looking at this fight, so if we look at things from just base to base, it's pretty clear cut that Harley Quinn has the speed edge. She does, AP is there too. It pretty much just comes down to stats, really, because if Jinx gets, like, blitzed, Harley Quinn definitely has the AP to physically hurt her, so that'd be a GG right there. But if the weapons do come in play for Jinx, that's a GG for her. It's pretty much a GG right there. There's nothing Harley Quinn can do to that. That thing's blown up bloody planets. So that's like the AP gap is huge if we look at it from that point of view. Now, if we give like Harley Quinn her comp stuff, you know, talk about the other rings like the yellow and the red, then Harley Quinn would take victory pretty comfortably. Even if we like lowball, don't include the, you know, the immeasurable relevant speed stuff. You got like Green Lanterns travel across galaxies, so they easily have like finite speed scaling or even arguably infinite speed if you want to go there. But it's pretty confident, like I'm pretty confident that she would easily blitz, and she would have the AP as well, especially with the rings. Like, you know, they're inherently universal plus based off them being 4D in nature, and the rage boost she would get as well if she was using the Red Lantern ring, and especially the napalm blood, which all the Red Lanterns get. They can pretty much vomit that stuff out, and it has like a massive area of effect, so it can like cover an whole area, because we've seen like Atrocitus perform this feat where he literally blasts and vomits this vaporizing napalm blood, and it fills up this huge large building. So it's massive, like AoE and widespread. So I don't really see what Jinx could do if that stuff touches her. That's going to instantly vaporize her to nothing. So more often than not, it just depends on, you know, interpretation. But I personally with Harley Quinn, in my opinion. But I'm gonna be, you know, gonna be surprised if Death Battle actually adds some of the composite stuff. Be pretty cool to see that, and I'd like to see their interpretation too. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic over to Benjamin.
Okay. Yeah, I agree a lot with what my colleagues here say. I do believe it's definitely an interesting matchup, like base to base. Like stats are pretty comparable, at least like AP. You can argue Harley can keep up, right? But then you see like a massive gap in speed. It's like far more than what would be required to use Blitz. She's gonna be just far too fast for base like Jinx to deal with. Gonna be able to just jump around, dodge everything she has. Her acrobatics, she's just gonna help. She's also very intelligent, so she's not just gonna stand there and take the attacks head on. So like she's definitely gonna be able to evade everything. She's far too fast. Now, if Death Battle, like in their little fights, they have like maybe have drag it on little, let Jinx get to her ship. I believe like at that point it's like Harley can't do much. But if they have Harley just end it before the ship, then it's just GG. Like there's nothing base Jinx can do. If it's the ship, like, starts destroying the planet or whatever, like, not a lot to do. The speed for the ship is also massively greater. But obviously, like, since it's a ship, it's also just much bigger. So she's gonna have to get there, but then there's also, like, yeah, like, the amps Harley has, like, the lantern rings. I mean, any one of them is just too much here, like, there's nothing, even with the ship, she could do. Just stronger, faster. Just those constructs is also gonna help. And she's able to like just create shit to defend her. Even though she wouldn't need it, because for how much stronger she's, like, she could literally just create stuff to block attacks and all that. So I definitely see, like, if Harley gets the rings, like, that's just one-sided, she wins. Without it, it's definitely more interesting. But I'd have to lean a little more toward Harley, just because of the larger chance that she's able to just kill her before she gets to the ship. So that's my thoughts on this.
Alrighty, right on. Well, I guess that's all she wrote, folks. Any last words before we sign off?
That'll be all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we hope you all have a blessed day. Everybody say peace.
Peace.
Peace.